Hello everybody, Josh12 back here again with another video, and I'm here to give you my official review for Dragon Ball Super Episode 30. Now, of course, if you haven't seen this episode, please go check it out because this review may contain spoilers. But that being said, let's get into the newest episode of Dragon Ball Super. Now, before I get into my initial review, my personal thoughts, my anger and anguish, and just anything that has to do with this show, first things first, I know I'm a little late to this, overall review. Usually my reviews for Dragon Ball Super come out on Sunday mornings or Sunday afternoons. But seeing as how last week was a pretty hectic week for me, I couldn't really make any videos in general, which is why last week was a pretty dead week for videos from me. But that being said and done, I'm finally back in action, making some freaking videos, and Sunday was just crazy. Let's just leave it at that. But that being said and done, let's get into Dragon Ball Super Episode 30. Now, this episode was the first filler episode of the Champa Universe 6 story arc of Dragon Ball Super, and in general, I kept asking myself in the past weeks, just thinking, Dragon Ball Super's killing it. Dragon Ball Super's killing it. The fucking manga's on fire. The anime's killing it. Toei Animation is doing some good. But deep down inside, I just knew that it was inevitable that Toei Animation would fuck up, they would stick their fucking, their foot in the mud, and we would all pay for it. And this episode is pretty much the definition of that. It's a shitty-ass episode, it's pretty pointless. I know there's a lot of fans out there who are defending it. I'm telling you, Dragon Ball Super is so divided in its fan base that it's almost like, here are the defenders, and then here's the haters. And then it's the same thing I stated in my last review. It's like, I'm in the middle just fucking bitching. That's all I'm doing. I'm just sitting in the middle just being like, what the fuck, man? I don't know. That's because I'm a realist, so like that's where I'm coming from. But in general, that's how I see everything in this personal, fan community, if you will. But at the end of the day, Dragon Ball Super has done good, but this episode is pretty much the worst episode thus far in this Champa arc, which really sucks because the last episodes we got were freaking phenomenal. I mean, the first episode in this saga was great. It was fun. It was entertaining. The last week's episode was fucking awesome. Vegeta killed it. Bulma was awesome. Goku was hilarious. Preparations for the tournament, getting all that stuff set up, really cool stuff. This episode, however, it's all recaps. Now, in retrospect, you can think, well, you know what, it's not that big of a deal. Like, come on, Josh12, I mean, majority of all animes do this. They're always they always spend majority of the episode's runtime recapping stuff we already know, and that's true, and I'll admit to that, but you have to think about it in a realistic setting. Dragon Ball Super as is a fucking recap of shit we already know. Why do that in an episode where you could have done anything? I mean, this was a filler episode. They could have done anything. They could have, sent Goku and Vegeta traveling all throughout the world, like finding freaking characters to freaking join in their tournament, their team, which is kind of what they somewhat did in this episode, but it's so just tainted with all the recaps, it's like pointless at the end of the day. I mean, like, you could have done anything, Toei Animation. You could have done, like, I want to know, who directed and wrote this episode? Can we, like, sue them and get our money back or something? Because that's how I feel after watching the episode. I mean, like, you ever, like, go to the bathroom? I hate to get all vulgar here, but do you ever, like, go to the bathroom and, like, it really burns when you urinate? And it just hurts, and sometimes you occasionally see blood. That's how I fucking feel after watching this episode. That's how much it's god-awful. It's not poorly made. It's not completely terribly animated. It's not complete garbage of a story, but there is nothing there. There's only like two major things, plot points, that actually happen in this episode that are relevant. Everything else is a recap. They spend the majority of this fucking episode recapping the Battle of Gods arc, the freaking Resurrection F arc, the last two episodes, and not to mention the freaking Kid Buu arc. Like, why are we wasting so much time on bullshit we already know? Dragon Ball Super is already filled with recaps. Hell, the last two sagas are recaps in and of themselves. They're basically remakes of the movie. Why do this even more? You fucking idiot, Toei Animation. What the heck are you doing? Who's over there? Can we, like, fire them and get, like, some new help or something? This is ridiculous. Like, does anybody not know how to show run something? I don't know. At the end of the day, there's only two real major things, or plot points rather, that I really find really relevant and actually interesting, and the only thing that actually saves this freaking episode. Number one, the Majin Buu stuff. I personally, in Dragon Ball Super, I haven't really loved the Majin Buu character, mostly because he's kind of a douchebag. At the end of the day, I don't know why, but Majin Buu, like, in Z, he was fun and entertaining, he was goofy, he was kid-friendly, he was stupid, and I love that. But in Super, for some reason, he's like an asshole, and he treats everybody like a douchebag. I don't know, maybe it's like, now that I'm like incredibly forced to listen to the Japanese voice actor for Majin Buu. I guess that has a lot to do with my perception of the character, but I'm just saying, like, Majin Buu is a douche. However, it was really cool to see his reactions towards joining the tournament. Also, it was really nice tidbit and, Easter egg to have him read some manga there, which was pretty cool. And also how he reacted with Hercule was also really nice. They have a really touching moment, which is really cool and really interesting for the Majin Buu character. And of course, on the flip side, the other thing that really saves this episode is the Gohan Piccolo stuff. Now, when we heard that Gohan was seeking out training from Piccolo back when the Resurrection F arc ended, I'm pretty sure every single fanboy, fangirl across the universe got a little bit wet in the pants area. I'm pretty fucking sure. This episode, we got to see some of that, and it's freaking awesome. I mean, granted, Gohan, he's still wearing that stupid-ass, freaking green outfit like a dummy, but I can forgive that because at least he's doing some cool shit, which is kicking some ass with Piccolo, which is really cool. And also, it was really nice to see Piccolo use some, like, old moves and maneuvers that we haven't really seen him do in a long time, which is really cool. And plus, I mean, like, it feels very classical Dragon Ball training, especially for characters like Piccolo and Gohan. Like, they're back in the wastelands, they're back freaking training in the mountains and stuff, like how they did during the Saiyan arc in Dragon Ball Z. So it was really cool, nice throwback to that stuff. I just wish it kind of had, like, a longer result. It's just very short-lived, and that's kind of like the only disappointing factor. But at the end of the day, those are the two main things that really save this episode. Everything else is bullshit. I mean, like, the majority of the episode is basically Goku and Vegeta explaining to Krillin, who I don't know why the fuck they have to explain anything to Krillin. I mean, Krillin has nothing to do with this arc at all, so why explain anything to him? But whatever. They spend majority of the time explaining shit to him. And then on the flip side, you have Beerus and Whis explaining shit to themselves, like, which is also relevant. I know all the defenders out there is like, oh, they name-dropped Oob. It's like, we already know he's coming, boys and girls. Why get all uppity about shit we already know? It baffles me. It clearly shows that it baffles me. But at the end of the day, I did not like this episode. I don't think it's like the definitive worst episode of Super. There's definitely worst episodes of Super that, of course, I've talked about in the past. Just check out my top 5 worst episodes of the Battle Gods arc and you'll know. But at the end of the day, this episode was very disappointing. I mean, for a filler episode where you can literally do anything, they spent majority of the time recapping shit. I mean, like, they could have done this in, like, 5 minutes tops, recapping shit. 5 minutes tops. They spent 20 minutes, the majority of the runtime of said episode, recapping. Like, why am I the only one who's pissed off here? Like, am I the only one? Is there other people out there who are pissed off like me? Because I feel like I'm the only one. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. But my final verdict for this episode is a solid 4 out of 10. It was a disappointing episode, a very just pointless, irrelevant episode. I was really expecting a lot considering this was the first filler episode, but what are you going to do? It is what it is. It was a disappointing episode. The only good parts was the Majin Buu, Hercule stuff, and it was also really cool to see Gohan and Piccolo train like the good old days. Really sucks that Gohan is not going to be relevant in this saga, but maybe he'll join up at some point. We don't know, but hopefully he does it with a cooler looking outfit because I'm kind of sick of seeing that freaking green outfit. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people are like really hardcore into that outfit or whatever, but he just looks like a dummy to me. But at the end of the day, let me know what you think in the comment section below. And of course, we got a preview for next week's episode, which looks like it could redeem this episode, which is why I'm not completely trashing this episode, because next week really looks like it could redeem it, which seems like it's going to be mostly a Jaco and Bulma episode. And if you know my personal feelings towards Jaco, and if you know, and I've been keeping up with my reviews, then you know that Jocko Boma moments are pretty much my favorite moments out of the Frieza arc. So, if you keep that in mind, next week could be a pretty freaking awesome episode. At least from looks. I mean, we don't know. Toy Animation has obviously disappointed us in the past with previews, but based off what I've seen, next week could be, or next episode rather, could be a very badass, interesting episode. I mean, it's Jocko and freaking Boma Adventures. Come on, that sounds awesome just right off the bat. But that being said, comment below. Let me know what you personally think about this episode, my personal thoughts on it. What are your personal thoughts on Majin Buu and Gohan's moments? What are your thoughts on Whis and Beerus' conversations? And what are your personal thoughts on Super basically wasting all their time recapping shit we already know and probably already end up knowing? So let me know what you think about that. Shameless plug time. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Jock12. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And hope you guys enjoyed. And this has been Jock12.